now we move on to something pretty shitty, to be honest. We have the Explorer 22. So, I will say...
I already don't like the name of it.
So, it's 25+1 mag fed. Its reload rating is kind of ass because you have to actually rack the slide on it, or I guess rack the bolt on it. So it's 3 out of 5. It takes quite a while to pull off. I think I tried doing a mag drop, but it wouldn't work too well. So I pulled the mag out by itself, but I could be wrong. But anyways, this is...
let's see it.
So far, it's definitely sounded pretty good. 25+1 capacity. Psych picture is good. Reload rating isn't really great, but it's not terrible per se.
Hearing it having a fuck that
it definitely sounds pretty good.
My brain says it's either got a big magazine.
Is it that Yeah, it's the monstrosity with the banana mag, right?
Well, it's 22.
Yep.
It's 22.
Called it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the Explorer 22.
It's a 22.
It's a 22. Like, this thing is not going to.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
22s come in all shapes and sizes.
I mean,
for what it is,
it's a plinker.
Yeah.
It's a plinking gun. It's not a self-defense gun.
I mean, you could use it for self-defense because
it could.
That's 25. That's like 25+1 rounds. I mean, that's still 25 rounds whizzing past someone that they don't want to get hit by it.
Yeah, but it's also semi-auto, and we're also dealing with soft points, not high velocities, which don't really do too much per se. In terms of the testing,
I don't want to get shot.
Yeah, in terms of testing, surprisingly, it does. Apparently, it actually does take quite a while to actually make someone explode. But me personally, I have actually tested it. It does actually kill, which is thankfully the case. But in terms of higher tier armored enemies,
any gun can kill, Connor.
Well, yes, but I had to test it out anyways because
it's
it's
the
a
Nerf
tiny
gun.
fucking
Except
for the Nerf gun.
gun.
But hear me out. At the very least, 32 ACP actually will kill and will
Still
even kill.
it
Will at least kill up to a tier 2 enemy. The 22 will not. So it has actually killed tier 1 enemies.
Brother in Christ. 32 APC is a bar so low, Satan stumbling over.
Yeah, honestly, I would put it in the...
I would say because of its
because sure, it holds a lot of ammo.
I'd be willing to actually fight this one a small bit.
Reason being is, yes, I would put it in F tier because it's chambered in 22, and you said it was
25
plus 1.
25 plus 1. It's 26 rounds. It's a 22. If you're shooting at anything with body armor, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's in most cases people usually.
At that point,
a phone could stop 22.
At that point, as soon as you run out of ammo, you might as well pull the magazine out, grab it by the barrel, and start beating people with it. That's.
I will say, like,
I would say put it in F tier.
Like, it's not F tier because it's a bad gun. It's F tier because it's so fucking small.
I mean, admittedly,
if it were chambered in 9mm, I could maybe put it in D tier, because then it would at least be more useful than it is now.
With a 25 plus 1 magazine, I would actually put that in the B tier if it's 9mm. If it were 9mm, but
True.
It's 22.
I will say I was actually willing to put like 22 LR into a place below F tier. But after actually testing it out and seeing that it is actually capable of actually killing, it's just up to tier 1 enemies. So any sort of Kevlar wearing enemies will actually die in one headshot, which is good. Tier 2, on the other hand, will not. It'll take a couple of shots before they're actually fully dead. Does kind of cause a bit of an issue, but I will actually fight with this one a little bit because you're sending a fuck ton around as quickly as possible. Maybe not so much F tier, but bottom of the rung
Connor,
D tier.
those fuck ton of rounds.
It's definitely good for them to
we
get
need
their
another new
heads
one.
down.
F plus. F plus.
No.
We need to start putting like tiers in between. It is like, because we can't. I don't feel right putting it up into D tier because it's too fucking small. But it doesn't feel quite right in F tier because that's a fuckload of rounds.
Yes, that's why I'm saying.
If you think about it, though, F plus is still an F.
Yeah, it's still an F.
That is true, but like I said, I'm willing to put it bottom of the rung D tier. It's got a fuck ton of rounds, and you can send a whole lot. There are other sort of, I mean, fuck, there's the P22, which only has 10
It's good for keeping heads down.
Yes, and that is especially
it's good
what
for keeping heads down.
Here's another thing, too, is that I could possibly see it going to D tier, because seeing as the fact that it's chambered in 22, there's no stock on that thing. There's virtually no recoil.
Yeah, virtually. Like
virtually no recoil.
You could you could pull a kid and try that thing with your pinky and have fun.
I will say,
seeing as how the weight and everything is all at the front of that gun, it would definitely be a great, like, if you're looking for accuracy.
Yeah, it's a very accurate. Probably
with
very
a pistol. Yeah.
Like,
so I would say D tier.
Okay.
I will also say that
I will concede.
All right, thank you.
Bottom of the D tier.
Yeah, bottom of the rung D tier for sure. And I will also say that anything that has a barrel, anything that has a barrel can have a, like, you can have like a brake, you can have suppression, any of that sort of stuff. Anything that doesn't have a stock, you can put a stock on. So that's an important little thing to know. Quick little thing. Anyways, next up is...
I mean, less of a stock.
I mean, not legally.
Not legally, but in game...
Shush.
Hey, listen. What the government doesn't know about won't hurt it, right?
Exactly. Anyways...
Moving on before we... hi, officer.
Mind you, real quick, this is important to say. This is all mostly
Hotdogs, Horseshoes.
This is for H3VR. This is a fucking game. You can do whatever the fuck you want. So hopefully you don't break something, but you can do whatever the fuck you want. Anyway,
ATF, fuck off. I have a dog.
ATF fuck off. ATF fuck off.
For it, I swear.
Dogs, but I also have a game. I'm not even a fucking gun owner. I need to get a gun at some point. Anyway, it's not getting into that. We have right here the F12. So nothing exactly remarkable.
It's not really that bad looking.
Yes, it's pretty simple sort of gun. 9x18 Makarov, 12+1. Yeah, 9x18 Makarov, 12+1. Real rating sight picture is as good as you can get for an actual, proper.
It's cookie cutter C tier.
Yeah,
it's cookie cutter C tier.
Yeah. Anyways, this is actually
it's cookie cutter. It's fucking cookie cutter.
And looking through, it is a modern Ukrainian pistol that was adopted as one of the national police of Ukraine's sidearms, along with Makarov. So this is actually Ukrainian, which is actually interesting.
Okay, but still, like, if based on looks, it's cookie cutter. Like, we've seen guns like that since the fucking 80s?
Yeah,
90s.
And sure enough, was designed late 1990s, and nothing really special about it. It's 9x18.
And here we are in 2022, almost 2023, and guns still look like that. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired of seeing these fucking, mil-spec fucking cookie cutters, okay? Give me something new to look at.
Yeah, it's honestly, there's nothing really...
Sorry.
Yeah, there's nothing exactly too special about it. It's pretty much the same as 9mm in most cases. Takes a couple extra shots.
If you've seen this, you've seen them all.
Yeah. It's... I mean, fuck, man. Can you really say it's anything different? It's fucking C tier. There's nothing special about it. It's nothing crazy. It's in 9x18, but...
It's C tier.
Yeah, it's nothing...
It's a C tier.
It's C tier,
It is... cookie cutter as fuck. Moving on.
Yeah. Yep. Moving right along, we have next up the fucking Stendo boy that the Russian Badger actually owns that has a buff against poor people. The 5.7.
The FN57.
The FN57.
The FN57, chambered in 5.7 by 28.
Indeed.
It's the round that it uses is made. Well, it's not made to pierce body armor, but it's definitely a body armor.
It's spicy.
It's a spicy boy.
It's a spicy round, as small as it is.
Yeah.
Small as it is.
It's
small,
like
but
that.
spicy round.
It's like that really small It's like that really small girlfriend, short and spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So nothing really special about it. It has
20 round magazine.
Can also go up to 30. It does have Stendo, which is necessary.
Yep. 10 rounds if you live in a communist state. Yep.
So I don't think there's really much I need to go to in terms of like any of the history stuff or anything. Most people usually know.
You don't need to go over.
Yeah, it's
you really don't.
I mean, fuck. Oh, fuck. There's a thing of controversies. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, moving on from controversies. This is not a political fucking thing. This is us talking about how effective a gun would be in taking hold, except for the fucking Digalov, which that thing deserves to rot in hell. Moving on. So
can we call it a Deaglet?
A Deaglet? Fuck off.
Yes, a Deaglet.
You can fucking suck my dick with that sort of fucking idea. Absolutely the fuck not. That honestly.
So the FN57.
So FN57
low B tier. I don't want to put it any higher because again it's a smaller round.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of it's that size that gives an advantage against body armor.
Yeah.
And it holds a decent amount of ammunition. So I will give it that.
Yeah.
So and again with that smaller round and I'm assuming relatively light frame, recoil might be an issue. Never fired one personally, so I wouldn't know. So that's why I'm saying giving it a low B tier rating.
So the 5.7, as small of a round as it is, it doesn't have as much recoil as you would think.
Well, I'm saying it wouldn't have a lot of recoil, but I'm thinking like the body's probably gonna be really light.
Yeah,
it is a polymer body. It's a lot of guns are made out of polymer now.
I'll be honest, I don't like polymer body guns.
There is a problem with unless they're made properly, which the FN57 is. And I know it's gonna make you mad, but so is the Glock.
I don't like the Glock. I'm sorry, the Glock. In my opinion, the Glock,
know you don't.
It's overhyped.
I know you don't. I know it is overhyped. I'm sorry. Back on track.
Yeah. So
the FN57, I like it. I would personally put it in A tier.
I would honestly be willing to put it maybe high B tier because it does actually have a little. I mean, first off, yes, it does have a buff against poor people, but it also does actually work well against usual Kevlar, which is good.
Okay.
And also,
despite the buff against poor people, that's
yeah. Not only that, but I would actually put it a little bit higher, almost into A tier, because of its different types of ammo. Though we are working with FMJ, this is mostly just for functionality in most cases, but we should also talk about different types of ammo. 5.7 does actually...
let's not... We can say, yeah, it's got different ammo types. We don't need to go into too much detail about that, because again, this is just, we're looking at these guns with full metal jacket. And again, I will concede and give it a low A tier. For A, the sake of brevity, and B, I can see why it would have an A tier rating. I personally don't, and for me, it's a personal thing of polymer bodies. I don't like polymer bodies.
Yeah,
they don't feel right.
Yeah, I will say though, it does have a 20 and even 30 round capacity, so that does kind of bring it up to A tier. Though I will say, out of all other pistol types, 9mm and 45 ACP do have an API plus P, but that's honestly kind of rare to get sometimes. Very spicy round.
Yeah.
Hard to get though, honestly, in some cases. Sometimes you can. Most of the time, a lot of the time you usually won't. So it's very difficult to get it sometimes.
There is one pistol that I can forgive for having a polymer body, but that's because A, it's cheap as fuck, and B, I personally
swear to God, if you say high point, I will come
not even a high point, man. It doesn't even fuck. Doesn't even have polymer.
A high
swear
point.
to God.
Yes, yes, it does. It does have a polymer case around the pistol. Beyond that, it's almost solid metal construction. Okay, and I'm sorry, they are reliable. They are durable. Sure, she occasionally chokes if I try to put too expensive ammunition through her. But besides that, she fucking runs. I could probably smoke anyone by feeding her steel casing. And again, I can literally throw that thing out in the snow, run it over with Bruck a couple times, maybe toss it in my forge for like half an hour, pull it back out, rack it, and keep shooting.
I'm pretty sure if the 5.7 has a buff against poor people, I think the high point has a buff against rich people.
The high point has just an extra durability rating.
The gun that has the most buffs though is the Tech 9 because it has a buff against rich people and police.
Yeah, that is fair.
That's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yes.
So, okay,
anyways,
back on track.
We'll get to that when we get to it.
Low A tier.
Yeah, I would say low A tier, and especially also because of the different ammunition types, because you can get those sometimes. And it does have access to both armor piercing and incendiary, and API naturally. So it does have quite the range. So it is
5.7 is such a hard round to find, and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It
would be
really
an issue
is.
in real life, but again, we're talking here in the game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, at that low A tier. If it was real life, I'm sorry, I'd be pushing down to C, maybe high D, because again, the ammo is a bitch to find.
Yes, but we're dealing with in-game stuff.
If I had one in real life, I would maybe push it to S tier.
Sorry, so what's next?
So next up is
what's next on the list?
Sorry.
a bit of a different
Sorry,
one.
is that next one?
Yeah.
Break
So
action pistol, next one?
no, surprisingly, this is still semi-auto, so no need to worry. So this is the Frontier
Hang on a
Model
second.
B, and I'll pull up a picture for you boys. So this is also another weird one. Thankfully not cursed, but this is the Frontier Model B, and it is chambered in 36 Moses, which is also a sci-fi round. So, bit of a different sort of gun here, and it is
looks
also,
like a neutered revolver.
it kind of does.
Yeah, it looks like a
It looks like a neutered revolver.
like you got a J frame from a fucking Colt Navy.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck's going on in the rest of that though. Maybe the barrel maybe off of the fucking one we saw earlier, like the fucking one we judged earlier, the fucking one that was from Hunt Showdown.
So, tell us a little bit about this gun.
So, real quick, this is in 36 Moses and is a caseless cartridge. It is 6+1 capacity, and the side picture is actually pretty okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Reload rating is pretty easy. I was able to get it done pretty good, but it does not have slide release. So it does have mag drop.
How do you reload it? Because I'm not seeing it.
So real quick, this right here is your charging slide, I suppose, charging handle, I suppose. So that's how you cock it, and you have to do that almost all the time. This little thing right here is your magazine.
Where's the slide go?
It's somewhere up in. I mean, charging handle's right here, so slide somewhere in here, I suppose. So, yeah. Like I said, it is caseless. So,
I don't think.
yeah. And actually, here we go. Yeah. So, oddly enough, this is actually a recreation of Mal's gun from Firefly, which was a Taurus 80. So it's Taurus Model 85 actually, and that's what that.
So it is a fucking. It's a fucking.
Oh my
it's a goddamn
God.
J-frame.
It's a fucking J-frame. Jesus Christ. So I need to. I need to. That's possible, but I need to look and see.
So it's 6+1 caseless, semi-automatic. I don't know. Like I'm not seeing much that really sets it out, except for its weird caliber.
Yeah.
Well,
so
how does it do in damage?
So these 36 Moses.
Yeah. What can it put down?
So 36 Moses is surprisingly powerful, but no armor penetration. So it actually does do an extremely hard amount of damage and will actually just slam through. It'll slam into body armor, but not through it. So it is capable, but not. Well, it's damaging, but it's not penetrating. So,
That's annoying.
I'm actually kind of lost in this one.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it can kick, but oh no, I feels like low C, high D.
I suppose,
I would say middle of the board, low C.
So, are we putting it above or below the Bergman? Is the question.
Above the Bergman.
Okay.
Above the Bergman.
So, above the Bergman.
Above
So
the
that's
Bergman.
where the Moses shall be.
I'm
Frontier
sorry,
shall be there.
Bergman, like the Bergman.
The Bergman.
I'm sorry, that bitch would jam constantly.
Good
Anyway.
God.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we
What's
have the G17. We're dealing with this guy here, if I can pull him over.
Okay.
So we're dealing with the G17. And this is obviously Glock. This is also going through with the Glock 17, 19, 22, and 41. So essentially 9.
So I've already
said
my piece about Glock.
Yeah. So I will real quick just to go through things. The Glock 17 obviously will take pretty much everything in terms of anything Glock most of the time. 17 and 19 are pretty similar. The Glock 17 naturally should have a 17 round mag, though of course the Glock 19 should also have a 15, but we also have a 20, 33, and 50 plus 1. Naturally also the Glock 22 is in 40 Smith & Wesson, in 15 and 15.32, and the Glock 41, I believe, because it is in a 13, 25, and 40, is in 45 ACP. Not much difference per se, as far as I know. I need to look into the 40 Smith & Wesson, but I don't think there's anything too different about it. Let's see. No, pretty much the same. Nothing exactly special. It honestly just simply exists. So this is dealing with all Glocks except for one special kind. So it's a box. Is there more to be said?
It is a box. I personally, having owned one, I would say it's a very reliable pistol. I have never had a jam with a Glock. Now that being said, I don't carry a Glock anymore, but I would definitely, in my personal opinion, I would put it in the B tier, for the simple fact that because everybody, you know, everybody and their mother has seen a Glock, they know what a Glock is. They make so many parts for it. It's very easy to maintain and very easy to get parts for. And not to mention ammo capacity, magazines. It's in my personal opinion, I think it's a very nice pistol.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of just the wide range of capacity, it definitely would reach itself into B tier well enough. Because I mean, the Browning high power is up here because it is a 14+1 or 13+1. I don't know. So willing enough to say that it is actually good, but we also do have the CZ75 Shadow, which is also 17+1, but it's still C tier. It does have a much wider range of sizes. So probably would actually agree with you there in saying that even if it is just a box, it is still B tier just because of the wide range of Glock mags. So
yeah, like I mean, because you got 17+1. I've straight up carried a 33+1.
Jesus Christ.
Which is, you know, a little too big to just like keep around. But yeah, and they're very easy to come by.
I will say another thing about Glocks, customizability.
Yes, they are very, very customizable.
I would say that Glocks are the AR of the pistol world.
Indeed. And speaking of the ARs of the pistol world, we do have specifically the G17 Custom. So obviously we have a different sort of slide. We have an actual functioning red dot and even a 20-round mag, usually. Is actually the specialized G17 Custom magazine. But of course, it can take all different ranges of 9mm Glock mags. Even still, this is essentially the same thing, just with a laser sight, with a reflex sight on it. So it does actually have a legitimate sight. So it is a little above in sight pictures. It has a 6 out of 5 because of that specifically. So I think it's safe to say
that's mainly more of a competition shooting pistol.
Yeah, for sure. But going into more tactical situations, it does...
Because you typically don't carry around a...
Would you say that this possibly might go higher than... Well, obviously it will probably go higher than
I would say
any of the other Glocks, but where is the question?
I would say B tier, above the Glock, below the high power.
So essentially the same place, just slightly
because
above.
at the end of the day... Yes, at the end of the day, it is still a Glock. There's really nothing that much that has changed about it, other than the fact that it has the thing on the bottom. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically just to make loading magazines easier. And then also it has a red dot sight on it.
Yeah. So nothing too terribly different, it seems. Nothing exactly wrong with that. So next up, we have the GSH-18. So the GSH-18, while this loads up, is another 9x19, 18+1. Sight picture is good. It's 4 out of 5. Reload is about the same. Everything pretty well similar. This is a Russian striker fire semi-auto.
It doesn't really look too bad. Curious what that hole though in the trigger guard. I don't know what that hole is for.
Who knows? but I will look up the history for this one because this is actually kind of one that is a little bit strange per se. Dom, you still with us right now?
Okay. I will also look at it because I know nothing about it.
Just want to make sure you're still.
I'm just currently I'm multitasking, but I'm still here to be part of the conversation.
Okay, I got you. No worries. So this one's a little bit of a sleeper in terms of anything else. So it's a 9mm basic semi-auto. Was made by let's see, it was made in the 1990s. Actually, fully produced in 01. And sure enough, actually came from a couple of guys. There's not really anything special about this that can really be found. It's an 18+1, which does give it a pretty high capacity, which is good to see. But even still, there's nothing special about it per se. This is kind of a bit of a sleeper, I suppose.
So, looking at the Wikipedia, because I have never seen this gun before, I know nothing about it. Apparently, it's very suitable for high-velocity ammunition loads. May be employed using standard 9x19mm parabellum rounds, but apparently it was designed for high-velocity Russian armor-piercing 9x19 7N31 rounds. Whatever those are.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that real quick as well. So from the looks of it, the 7N31 was essentially a smaller cartridge, but was overpressured to make it a little bit hotter. From the looks of it, that's what I'm guessing is what the 7N31 is simply just a.
So it looks like the 7N31 round was designed to be an armor-piercing round. It penetrates 8mm of steel, up to 15 to 20 meters. Okay. Which is about 0.3 inches.
Yeah, so it's essentially just a slightly hotter 9mm. It's a smaller, hotter 9mm. So that's what that is. So I don't think the GSH really has anything special about it. I think it's just C tier.
Yeah.
So I would agree from what I'm hearing. I would agree.
So any other sort of unremarkable cookie cutters, are we putting it above the Frontier Model B or above the Bergman?
Above the Frontier Model B.
Okay. So now we have a very easy candidate for.
Is that the Liberator?
No, it is not the Liberator. Actually, before we get to that, we do actually have another 9mm that is actually very, very different. We have the HH9mm, which I do actually have. So this is the HH9. It's pretty big, sort of modern. It has some recoil management. So this is the HH9. Very weird looking one. It is definitely box standard, but they put a little extra on it, and it does have a rail. It's a 15+1 capacity. Sight picture is good. Rear rating is actually okay, and that's pretty much as I can really say about it without going into deeper detail. And sure enough, it is called the Hudson H9. That is its full name. Sure enough, it was actually unveiled at SHOT Show in 2017. Huh.
It's not a very good-looking pistol.
Yeah, it's a little,
in my opinion,
a little bulky, I'd say.
It looks like they tried to give it, like it looks like they tried to give it a futuristic feel, but it feels like 1980s, 1990s futuristic.
So retro future.
Yeah, retro future. Which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing
if it's done well.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's done well.
I mean, and also looking at this, not exactly to sway in any way, but Hudson at some point a few years ago in 2018 apparently ended up went down the shitter. I mean, bankrupt. So
oh fuck,
lovely.
Yeah, and actually look at this right now. The Hudson H9 group in Facebook carried many discussions regarding broken H9s and the return to repair work. And sure enough, into January, there's reports that it was, they were sent back, but were not repaired or returned. So that's not good. So I don't think the Hudson H9 actually worked well, which probably...
that's what it sounds like right now.
From the looks of it, just looking through that and all, it definitely didn't seem like it really worked all that great in some cases. So that's a bit of a shame. After that, it's really not anything different. I'd say, if anything, it's mostly just cookie cutter. It's just...
middle of the board.
Yeah, middle of the board.
I guess I would say C tier above the... Yeah.
I'd say, if anything, it's nothing really remarkable about it. But we must go into new things. And thankfully, we are actually looking into different types now, beyond just basic 9mm that are, as basic, boxy, simple cookie cutters you can be. We're going into the Jetfire 950. It's an 8+1, sight picture's okay, reload is not. So there is mag drop, but no slide release. And reload is difficult. We're dealing with one of the smallest pistols in the game, possibly the smallest. The Jetfire 950 is our 25 ACP, and there is 2 variants. Neither of them are really good. There is the Mother of Pearl version, which I will actually show, but first off, this is the regular. So this is the Jetfire 950, which doesn't exactly... It's not exactly brought justice in that it's small. It's very small. I mean, you want to talk pocket pistol, this is pocket pistol. It is a little tiny 25 ACP with an 8+1 capacity. Very, very small. And the reload definitely
I've actually seen one of these. I've actually seen one of these at a pawn shop once. I think it was like a $200 pistol or something.
God. Could not imagine.
Ironic.
Yep, Beretta.
Yeah, Beretta.
Oh, how ironic that is.
So yeah.
I would say, since it's not really a viable option, you might as well throw it at somebody. I would say F tier.
Yeah, that's definitely going F tier for sure.
Not cursed, but definitely not,
not definitely not going
it's not
D-tier for sure.
cursed, but it's definitely not. Yeah.
It's not Deagleoff cursed, but it's I mean, fuck. The comp pistol's an F tier because of its looks. The Jetfire is an F tier because of its functionality. It's not good.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think I actually covered this before. The reason as to F tier as to why that's there and what exactly covers it is it works, but at what cost? And that's kind of what I wanted F tier to be, is just it works, yes, but at what cost? So that's what I've had F tier set as. D tier is like, yeah, it works, but it's not going to be a fun time, or it's going to be one of those things where you're literally challenged to do it. F tier is just, it works, but at what cost? That's just what I've been stuck with for a while.
Yeah.
So, next up is, and I'm actually using the long barrel version of this, not that it really helps out too much. We are talking about the great German P08 Luger.
Yeah. The classic right there.
Oh, yes. And this is also the artillery version, but you know what? It just looks better, and fuck you. That's why. So this is
as opposed to the little short version.
Thankfully, not that short a version. I wanted to have something that didn't really change too much and just works pretty goddamn well. The actual artillery version. I don't think it changes it up too much per se, but even still, Luger is the Luger, and
it
does a job.
It does the job.
It does the job. It gets the job done. It's not necessarily a pretty gun.
It doesn't exactly look good, but it is iconic at the very least. It's the usual classic German infantry soldier pistol in any World War II movie.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Is there anything remarkable enough to put it anywhere above probably C tier?
No.
No, I would say it's definitely above the HH.
I can see that, honestly. It also, real quick to go through, it also has a 32 round drum, but it's usually 8+1. So,
yeah.
But we will put it above the HH. This is a There we go. All right, moving on, we have the M9.
The M9.
The M9A1 specifically, but we are dealing with all different variants. There's the M9, the M1911, the M92FS, and the M9E3. So we're looking specifically at the M9A1, but even still, we do in fact have the M9.
They don't have my pistol in the game.
Which one is that?
Dang, they don't have the M96. M96.
Shame.
Chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson.
Goddamn. Sadly, they do not have it.
All right.
But we do have the M9, which is pretty nice.
So how good is the gun in game? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, the M9, specifically the M9A1 that I'm covering right now, there's not exactly anything special about it per se. It works definitely. It's a nice little 15+1. It also has a 15, 17, 20, and 30 round mags, naturally. The A1 and A3 both have a bottom rail. Sight pressure was good. Reload rating was definitely nice. There wasn't exactly anything super special about it, but I do have a small bit of history with it. It honestly looks as good as you can get for what exactly it is, because it's an M9. Nothing really special or different or anything about it. It's an M9. You know, it works. A lot of people know about it.
It's not a bad looking pistol. It's not a bad working pistol either. It works well, assuming that you actually have
take care of it.
You know, you take care of it. Yeah.
Take care of
it. I know a lot of soldiers who, I know a lot of soldiers because we recently converted over to the M17, which is made by 6 Hour, and I've heard both sides. It's pretty mixed. People saying that they want to go back to the M9. People saying they're glad they got rid of it. And the reason for them saying we're glad we got rid of it is because the gun. They always say the same thing. The gun jams. The gun jams. The gun jams. It's not... Okay. Brand new M9s are perfectly fine. They're perfect. They function correctly. I think when I had an M9, out of maybe the 1,000 to 2,000 rounds that I put through it, I maybe had 5 stovepipes. Which, stovepiping, for any of the people watching... It's basically where the shell, when it gets ejected, it doesn't eject all the way and it sticks out the top of the gun. So you actually have to pull a bit back on the slide and then pull that shell off. And then you're ready to go. For those of you who don't know.
God damn it, Lux, you're literally going to make me fucking pull receiver too, just to fucking get recordings of that, fuck's sake. It's a slight bit annoying, but it's not terribly bad, per se. At least in game, but it's not absolutely terrible, and you can just rack slide and you're set to go. Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to hold one in real life and you just pull the slide back and let it go, I don't know why. It's just the sound of it is iconic. I don't know why. But that's me getting into personal bias.
Yeah.
The only bad thing about this pistol, I will say, is that it's Italian. Yeah. And I will leave it at that.
The only bad thing about it is Italian, but it is good. But that's it. Nothing against the Italians at all.
So
you made a good pistol.
I would personally say B tier. The only thing stopping me from putting it in A tier is that it's Italian. So
I'd say if anything, the M9 is a slight bit pretty well iconic. I'm willing to say it is. Especially the M9A1, because I've had some history with Resident Evil 5, and that was just the gun they always had all the time. I could easily recognize it. It's a little iconic to me. I would say, at the very least, it would probably go above the Glock 17, just because of, just how iconic it is, but functionality doesn't exactly change too much. I'm willing to at least die in the hill of putting it high C tier just because of how iconic it is. But that's about it.
Yeah.
So, okay. What do we think of
that, fair,
boys? Are we high C tier or above block B tier?
I can agree with high C tier. I can agree with that.
All right.
Because there are many pistols that are better than it, and there's definitely many pistols that are worse than it. It's very middle of the board. Me, personal bias, I like it.
Personal
but
bias
I'm willing to agree
like
to say that it is C tier.
Yeah. I'm willing to agree with that. So, before we get to the Lord's Calibers, we also have the M1907.
Lord's Caliber.
We'll deal with that later. First up is the 1907 Roth, which I need to once again find. There it is. So, pull this up here for you boys real quick. This is the M1907 Roth. It's a weird little gun for sure.
Okay.
So it's an internal magazine.
It looks like it looks like something you would put an injector on to shoot your teammates to revive them.
That is fair. So they don't have any footage of the 8mm Roth, but I did a little bit of testing. I think it is. I think it is a little bit to a. It's able to go through tier 1 armor, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. I'll have the footage here to either prove me right or wrong. But 8mm Roth, it has a 10 round internal mag, fed obviously by stripper clips. Sight picture is good. Reload rating is really nice. But yeah, there's not too terribly much about it per se. I suppose I should get into my experience with it. It did have a little bit of an issue with reload speed. It took me a good 3 seconds to reload it, but that's only because it is in a stripper clip. It does actually have a little bit of style points because of the stripper clip. The loader for it has a little thing that actually pushes. You can actually use your thumb and actually you can actually push down the rounds into the mag, which does actually earn a little bit of style points from me for that.
Okay.
But I don't think there's anything terribly different about it. I'd say, I don't know, where exactly would we put this, boys? It's hard to say what this would be.
Well, if it's not from what you're saying, it's not a bad gun. Me personally, I think it looks weird.
I do too.
But that's just me. I'm also not a big fan of stripper clips, especially like on pistols. Like if it's on a rifle, it's fine, but if it's on a pistol, I ain't really for it.
Yeah. I will say, like, this thing does honestly look kind of weird. It's very similar to the Cobb, but this right here is your, essentially your size is what you use to pull back on, and you can load in rounds that way. So that's for there.
Yeah.
So there is that, and I'm honestly kind of. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'd say at the very least, it'd probably at least be C tier.
I would say C tier, right below the HH.
Below HH. All right, it's probably fair. So put it about there, I suppose. It does take a while to reload it, so that does make some sense. Okay, so we are now looking into probably what a lot of people are wanting to, were wanting me to look into, but also will likely get a lot of butt hurt from it. We are looking at the M1911, which there are so many.
There we go.
Wars. So,
standing in the freedom corner, standing at a height of 8.5 inches, with a weight of 2.5 pounds, previous 2-time world champion, the M1911. Gotcha.
You can tell we're all
S tier.
Yeah. So
there is no question about it. S tier. No, none of these other pistols have won a world war twice.
Twice, in fact, mind you. So
twice in a row.
In a row.
S tier.
So, real quick to go over everything. Obviously, everyone knows it is in Lord's Caliber 45 ACP. It does have a 7, 11, and 18 capacity magazines, which is pretty freaking nice. Sight picture was fantastic. Reload rating was absolutely great. It took me a good 1 second to fucking reload that bitch, and there's also so many different fucking variants out there. I can't even go into all of them. Holy Jesus, there are so many variants. So...
And so many companies that make them. Holy shit.
Lord knows. So we have the original 1911, which, yes, does actually have those motherfucking diamonds on there. Don't worry about it. We also have the much better version, let's be honest, the A1. There's also a gold-plated version. There's also the modern version of the A1. And there's even a specialized stamp variant. Though it doesn't exactly have slide release, it isn't exactly different enough to be, pretty much anywhere else. It isn't exactly going to be judged differently compared to everything else. So nothing exactly terribly different per se compared to the originals. So the stamp variant is going to be lumped in. There is also a couple of other different variations that I will at some point later get into, but not right now. There's also one such, especially I should say, is the Dillinger. I will get into it. Also, that's where the actual 18-round mag comes in. But I would say, just because of how fucking iconic it is, I'm willing to say A tier. And for Dom, I'm willing to put it above the 5.7.
I would say that. Yeah, the lowest that it would go is A tier.
Like high A tier.
Strict. Like the only thing I would say holding it back is the fact that it's single stacked. They do make double stack 1911s now.
Modern ones, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, modern ones.
Same thing else we said with the Makarov. But even still, it's not... I don't think it's anything...
Because you have to think it's 7 plus 1.
Yeah, it's 7 plus 1, naturally. So I would say, if anything, so I think the question is, we're probably going to put it above 5.7 for Dom at least. Though, of course, I'd be willing to move it above the broom handle, mostly because of functionality. But
yeah,
will the 1911?
Yeah, functionality is the main thing there.
Yeah. So, would the 1911 go above the broom handle?
Yes.
Yes, I know for a fact we're gonna have a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, my broom handle, but it's so iconic.
Shut the fuck up.
They're gonna be shitting. They're gonna be shitting their pants.
If you wanna higher on the list, make your fucking. This is ours.
Yeah. You can absolutely come on to Tiermaker and you can actually make your own list by all means. One thing I'll say probably at the end of this as well is if anyone at all disagrees, you can make your own. I'm not against that at all. You can make your own. And
we're happy to see the video too.
Seriously, go ahead. By all means, go ahead and show us exactly what that is. Send me a screenshot. You can do a whole video talking about it with a whole bunch of other people. Go right ahead. We're doing this as the best we can.
Honestly, me, just fight me about it.
Yeah, Lux, fight him. Go ahead. That's not going to work out for you.
Lux.
Exactly.
Fight me about military, man.
Go on.
I will fuck you up.
All right. So moving on from that, next up is another 1911, which actually will obviously go above it. This is the 1911A1 Tactical and Operator variants. This one has a more common 11-round magazine, along with a bit more moddability. It, just like the G17 Custom, it has a lower rail and also has a red dot. So, well, I think if anything,
I would say we treated it the same as the G17 that we did. We put it right above the original 1911.
Yeah, honestly, it does absolutely go above because slightly higher mag size. It also has a reflex sight. It very easily goes above almost immediately.
It's also the exact same gun, just
it's the same gun. Yeah, it's the same gun, but it has attachments, and it is also integrated as well, mind you. So anyone that's saying, "Oh, why is he doing that sort of stuff? Why is just a little bit of everything?" Shut up. It's different. It's different enough to me. So fuck you.
Yep.
Anyway.
And again, if you want to make your own list,
by all means, do it.
You're more than welcome to do so.
Anyways, so next up is the 1912, a year after the 1911, and honestly kind of shit. Let me explain. So, the 1912 is Austrian made, of all things. Let's see, going through the actual wiki because I'm lazy. Superficial resemblance to the 1911. It is different mechanically. So this does not actually have a detachable magazine. This is actually an internal magazine, and it's a god damn it, I wish I could speak. It is in fact 8 rounds. So there's no 7+1 stuff. It is just straight up 8 rounds with an internal magazine, and it does have slide lock, which is good. But reload rating is not great because I've slipped more times than I'm willing to say, and honestly, I've kind of lost count at some point. So this thing definitely might end up going into D tier just because of how fucky it is sometimes. Because I've honestly, I mean, it does have its own slide, which is good. And even if it does have slide lock, I've still had one of those times where, you know, when I have it fucking totally unloaded. It needs to get a new one in and everything and all. I go and stick in a fucking new strip, and for some reason, when I let go, for some reason, it thinks I'm pulling back the slide for just long enough that it pops the fucking thing. It pops the stripper clip out, and you have no idea. Just I'm willing to say you have no idea how fucking mad I am about that shit.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'd be pissed off about that too.
It's not personal bias. I'm actually serious. I'm willing to say that it works. Yes, and it is an 8mm. It is an 8mm Steyr. Well, excuse me, 9.23. So it's 9.23 Steyr, which is definitely a capable round, but functionally, I'll admit, functionally, I hate it. And it's mostly because of how fucky it can be sometimes. No penetrating power or anything like that, so we don't have to worry about it. So I did look. I promise. This thing, I fucking hate it so much because of that little bitty tiny thing. So I'm willing to put it high D tier because it is more functional than these guys, and it's not a 22, and actually has working sights. The sight picture was good, but functionally speaking, I fucking hate it. So I'm willing to just put it D tier. I will not do it to the disservice of F tier though, but I'm putting in D tier because it just. I mean, you just.
Yeah.
So
it seems like it seems like a big problem with the gun is that so you're saying that in the game, like when you go to put a stripper clip in, it's like I guess it's not a problem with the gun itself, it's a problem with the game.
Yeah, it's more so the game than it is the gun itself. That's the only reason. We are, of course, dealing with a tactical situation in game. If anyone has an M1912, I will say, if anyone does have a 1912 and actually absolutely like it, I'm not dissing against you. I'm dissing against what the game did to it. That's all. So
yeah, it's not a problem with the gun. It's the problem with the game. If it worked, it would probably be higher on the list.
Yes, if it did work proper and didn't have that little bug with it, bug. If it didn't have that, it would definitely go up into probably C tier, maybe even B tier, possibly. Maybe, but it's mostly the game's problem. So next up is the 1951, which I will show it to you, but do note that it looks a little similar.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I mean,
God.
Tell me that doesn't look like what you think it looks like.
Look what they did to my boy.
That's kind of what I thought at first. So it's an 8+1 9mm. Yeah, so it's an 8+1 9mm. The sight picture and reload rating is good, but it does not have slide release. That's the only big issue with it.
It makes a motherfucker run off. I made a motherfucker run away.
Smart choice.
It looks like a Beretta, but like it's the Ricky Berwick of Berettas.
Yeah, I can honestly see that. I would say, if anything, like I would definitely put it below the Beretta for sure. Like the M9 definitely is not fucking having to deal with that shit, but it is also still kind of weird. Yeah, and I've also had a little thing where if the hammer gets pulled, there's no like hammer reset, so you don't have a double action trigger. So kind of an issue with that when you have simplified controls, but that's only a minor thing. It's not that big an issue, and you can just rack slide again in case that happens, because you're not just gonna somehow decock the hammer unless you're rolling with classic, and even then you can just cock the hammer back. But
yeah,
little thing about that just little strange, you know. But I would say, where exactly would that be put? Like, that'd be above the HH.
It would definitely be, I would say, yeah, above the HH.
All right. So there we go. So moving on, we now have
that C tier is getting full.
Yeah,
Yeah,
C tier
really.
is definitely getting real full. So next up is the Makarov 9x18, which has an 8 round capacity, but also has an 80 round drum because fuck you.
That's Russian.
It's a Russian imposter right there.
Yeah, seriously. So thoughts, boys? Makarov.
The Makarov
it's Russian.
It's Russian. It's not a bad gun, I would say.
So
especially with how long it's been used. It's not a bad gun. There's different variations of it. I know that there's one that they made where I believe it has an integrated suppressor. Yeah, they made one with an integrated suppressor, which, you know, it's, from what I hear, it's okay. Because the Makarov itself is based off of the Walther PPK. You know, the standard James Bond gun.
Yeah.
You know.
So probably would put this above the 51, the fake Glock, the imposter Glock, or the imposter Glock, the imposter M9. It's kind of unbig.
Honestly, I would actually put it above the, what was it? It was the very first gun we got. It was the one where you can actually, like, it has the window on it.
Oh,
it's in C tier.
Yeah, the ASB right here.
Yeah.
So probably
I would actually put it above that because the Makarov is actually proven.
Yeah, the Makarov is proven. It is actually it is a slight bit iconic, but not enough to really push it out of C tier.
No, it's not iconic enough. It's not. Is it a bad gun? No. Is it a really good gun though? No. Like
No.
the recoil on it is
Dog water.
fucking horrible. It's dog water.
It is definitely
So, not to mention there's so many copies of it. Like, it's ridiculous because you got the Walther PPK, which is what the Makarov is based off of, and then you have the Hungarian PA63, which is a Hungarian officer's pistol, which I used to own. Yeah. Fun fact: those pistols are horrible because they are made with aluminum. And you would think that a pistol chambered in 380 wouldn't have any recoil, but it does. Holy fuck! I would rather shoot the Deagle than a PA63. Actually, I think I'd rather shoot a Deagle compared to the Makarov. Because at least when my wrist hurts afterwards, at least I shot like a Deagle or something, you know?
All right, so we'll have the Makarov in C tier above the ASP due to how iconic it is, but it is still a 9x18 and is not really special per se. So next up, we have another 22, but this thing, I will say, it does look good. But that's all it's got going for it. It'll place it above everything else in terms of any other 10 plus 1 round 22s, but it's still going in D tier. Just, let's be honest here.
I mean, it's going above 10 round magazine 22, of which there are none as of current.
Yeah, but even still, it's like, this just... It's going to go above all the others, because we have the Mark III, the Mark IV, and the P22, and that's, as far as I know, all the 22 LRs. So, it's simply just going to be there. Honestly, there's not much that needs to be more said about it. It's a 22, you know. Moving on, though, we have the Max 9. So the Max 9, as far as I know, is a integrally suppressed Glock, essentially. But it doesn't look like a Glock. It's a big, boxy fuckboy that's integrally suppressed. And 9mm. So, yeah.
That is actually a very good video game pistol.
Yes, it is.
It is very much.
Me personally, I don't really like the look of it, but I will not deny its abilities in combat.
Yeah, and also for anyone wondering, right about this seam right here is where the slide stops. So all of this is all barrel here. This is how much the slide moves back. So, little important thing to note. Sometimes you can't always clearly see it. After that, sights, reload, they all were pretty well good. Obviously it has Glocks, so 15 to 50. So it's got 15, 17, 20, 33, and 50 rounds each, and a 9mm. So, not really more to be said about this. The suppressor doesn't exactly change things too much, and it does look very different. Where are we putting this, boys? I'd be willing to say, at the very least, it would probably go above the F12. But I'm not putting it in B tier.
So, me personally, I would actually put it in B tier. I would actually, believe it or not, put it above the Deagle. Because you do have
any experience with this gun, so
you do have that integrally suppressed barrel, which is very useful.
Yeah, it's
not to mention that you can mount things on it.
Yeah, and of course also that is in case for many other pistols we do have, but surprisingly not as many as one would hope. We have the 1911 Tacticals. We have let's see, we have the 5.7. We got the Deagle, most of the Glocks. We also have the CZ75, we have the M9A1, the F12, and I think that's pretty much about it. Maybe the HH9. But, okay, like, that's all we have in terms of, like, you know, things that can be mounted onto any pistols. So,
okay.
We don't have too many, actually, so that does actually give it a small bit of an advantage. But even to go above the Deagle is insane. I mean,
at the very least, I would put it above the Glocks.
For sure, I could see above the Glocks. And also, suppressors do work as they're supposed to actually work. They'll silence at long range, but close range, you'll still hear those fuckers.
Oh, yeah.
So
I do like that it is more realistic.
Yeah. But even with that, integrally suppressed would probably go above the Glocks. So the question is, Dom, where are you thinking on putting the Max 9?
Above the Glocks, but below the Deagle.
So are we putting? So I guess the question is, where do we put it where the Browning is?
I would say below the Browning.
Below the Browning.
I could see that.
It doesn't have enough time to really prove itself.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a much newer sort of gun per se. And to make sure that I go through, just in case anyone's wondering, they're like, oh, you know, you should look into, you know, fucking seeing, you know, how everything all goes and whatnot with the things they made.
Our tier list, if you want something else, something somewhere else, make your own.
Go ahead and look into it. Sadly, there's only the Silencer Co., which, you know, silencers. And that's pretty much about it. There's not really much more we can say. They did actually make the Max 9 particularly suppressed. Oh, and it's actually the first holsterable integrally suppressed 9mm. That is rad. I will admit that. So that's kind of cool. But
it is.
After that, there's not really much more that can be said. So Max 9
because the nice thing about it is that if you take that, because it has the integral suppressor, all the other pistols, because you have to add a suppressor on, it makes them really long. So it is definitely easier. It would definitely be easier if you had the right holster to carry that integrally suppressed pistol.
Well, I think moving from there, I think we've definitely come to a pretty good consensus. I think we should move on to the Mk22 Mod 0. A little something that is modeled after the Smith & Wesson Model 39. So, Mk22 is this gun right here. You can easily see this is obviously a very much moddable sort of thing. And it is different enough, even if it is another 9mm with a 14+1 capacity. It is different enough because of the sights on it, which I did test and had a look at.
It is a very interesting sight on it.
It is a very interesting sight. I did test
They're very high.
Yes, they are very high. But I have to actually pull up my own fucking footage just to see as to why I had the reload speed at 2.6 instead of 1.4. I'll be right back. So, getting back to this, where are we thinking on putting the Mk22? Oh yeah, I also kind of forgot to say that the ASP, the first one we looked at, was actually, I think, a customized version. It was based off of the Model 39. So this is kind of the gun that somewhat started everything out for the ASP. So, I feel like there's not really too much to be said at this point. So, what are you boys thinking? Maybe, like, I suppose above the ASP, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say that's reasonable.
Alright. I'm gonna put it slightly above the ASP. Nothing exactly beats too much the original, or what's close to the original. Nothing against the ASP, but even still.